The owner, who was seriously ill, took off his hat in front of his dog. He suddenly realized something. He looks at his master, who is not the same as he used to be. The dog's eyes were full of shock. He froze for a long time, choking back sobs of sadness. Then he stood up and comforted him with a hug, as if to tell him, no matter what happens, he'll always be there. In fact, the owner was diagnosed with cancer a few months ago. In order to cooperate with the treatment, he shaved his head. He didn't want the dog to worry, so he hid his illness from him. Since he knew his master was sick, the dog has become very clingy. He's not as playful as before. Every time he enters the room, he's careful, afraid of disturbing his master's rest. The owner is very weak after being tortured by the disease. Lying on the bed, she looks at her understanding dog. He could only barely lift his hand to stroke his little head. On this day, he went to the hospital for his second chemotherapy treatment. Before he left, he told the dog he'd be back soon, but the dog stayed at the door without eating. He waited from day to night. His eyes were full of worry. When he came to this family 5 years ago, he was a puppy. At that time, he was very active and mischievous. He always made a mess in the house, but the owner never disliked him. Instead, he took care of him with a big heart. As time went by, he grew up from a little puppy. When the owner came home, he wagged his tail and greeted him excitedly, as if to tell him how much he misses him. The dog lay quietly in his master's arms, as if trying to comfort him in this way. Whenever this happens, master will gently caress it. An illness disrupted the rhythm of life. The dog doesn't know what's wrong with his master. All he knows is that he can't be like he used to be. He remembers that he used to take him for walks on the beach, watching the sunrise and sunset together, and leave happy footprints in the snow together. Since his master got sick, the dog has never left the house again. He stays quietly by his master's side every day, with the dog by his side. The owner's struggle with the disease has become less difficult. When he's in good spirits, he even interacts with him temporarily, but serious illnesses require regular visits to the hospital. Every time we part, it's very hard for the dog. He crouches at the door after his owner leaves, and then another round of waiting begins. The moment he sees that his master has returned safely, he was so happy that he forgot himself, rolling on the ground in excitement, as if all the waiting had been worth it. When the owner is sleeping, the dog stays close by, afraid that his master will leave him again. But the peaceful and cozy time didn't last long. The master's condition suddenly began to deteriorate. He needed to be hospitalized for an operation. The dog looked at the suitcase with anxiety. He knew his master might be gone for a long time. In the end, the dog puts his toys in the suitcase. Since his master left, the dog waited for many figures at the door, but still no sign of his master. He wanders alone in the empty room. Every day he smells his master's scent on the quilt before he can sleep. Fortunately, the operation went well, but he'll be hospitalized for a while. The dog has never been separated from his master for so long. The longing for him has made him lose weight. He was screaming with anxiety at home. There's nothing we can do, so they let him video chat with his owner to ease his longing. When he saw his long-lost master on the screen, it was so excited that it stood up and wanted to hug its owner, but his hand stopped in midair, but it couldn't touch its master. He brought his favorite toy ball. It seems to want to give him this precious gift. The dog's expectant eyes stayed on the screen. On the day his master came home from the hospital, the dog's tail was wagging with joy. The owner brought the toy ball to play with him, but the dog unexpectedly refused. He knew that his master was very weak after the operation. The dog rested his head on his master's lap. He looks at him with deep love, hoping that his master will get well soon. After a period of recuperation, the owner's health gradually recovered. She can take the dog out to play again like before. The dog runs freely on the grass like the wind, enjoying his hard-earned fortune. Puppies are not just pets, they are part of the family. Whether you're poor or rich, healthy or sick, a dog will always be there for you, and will always be there for you. There are always hard times in life. Love and warmth are like the light of life, guiding people out of the darkness. The road ahead will be as wide as the sea.